If you're watching, send us a little chat so we can see that you are with us. Chat. Okay. Let's make sure we have some viewers for what's going to be a fascinating conversation. I don't know why my voice is not there right now, but I'm sure they start speaking, it will come. Holidays. What is that? Maybe part of this, but I don't use it. It's fine. Here, just get here. I'll take it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, my friends, you ready? 1 second. Let's see who's watching. I don't see anyone chatting yet. Notification. No comments yet, so we're gonna wait 1 more second. I'm on. You see me? Okay, I'm on. I was opening up also. Okay, I see you. Good. The printers, the 1 page every 10 minutes. So 1 second, holidays. Okay, my friends. So, tonight's class, as always, in memory of Yitzchak Tzvi ben Yosef. His neshama should have an elevation. Tonight, there we go. Let me also open up the source sheet. So, tonight, for those who are watching, good evening, Art. Good evening, Ravid. Good evening, Kim. Good evening, Shira. Good evening, Corinne. Good evening, everyone else that's watching that hasn't said hello just yet. Tonight we're going to talk about the cup of wine we don't drink. Right? Normally we talk about the wine we do drink. Tonight we're going to talk about the wine we don't drink. Because to be honest, I think what's going to be the most fascinating topic of the Seder? What's the most interesting thing? And I was going through that God in my mind on Shabbos. The 4 sons and this and the wicked and maybe each one of us different sons and how we can relate to them. But then this came to my head. This is a fascinating conversation. There's a lot that I discover myself. It's always more. During the Pesach Seder, we drink a lot of wine. For those that could drink wine. If you can't drink wine, you should drink grape juice, but you should drink full cups. Better to get a small cup and drink the whole cup than to get a big cup and take a little sip. I have a story about that, but that's not for right now. And the 4 cups have a lot of significance, a lot of symbolism, a lot of importance, which I'll touch a little bit on a little bit later. It's really could be its whole class of its own. So during the course of the Seder, 4 different times, we drink 4 cups of wine, right? Which reminds me of the joke I was going to start with, of this couple that go out for their 20th wedding anniversary. And this guy has a few glasses too many to drink of wine. He's a little bit under the affluence of alcohol. That was a joke. So under the influence of alcohol, got it. And he starts waxing poetic and eloquent, and he says, these last 20 years, you've always been there for me. Whenever I had a rough day and I came home, you were always there for me. Whenever I was stressed out, whenever things were tough, whenever I had I always knew I can count on you through thick and thin to be my support, to be my rock, to be my strength, to be my anchor. And his wife was not used to hearing him talk so lovingly and so appreciative of her support. It says, tell me the truth. Who's talking? You? Are you talking or is the wine talking? He says, to tell you the truth, it's me talking to the wine. Yeah, and then the bottle went over his head, and then the rest of the wine spilled. Good evening, Andrea. Good evening, Helen. How are you? Good evening, Adelino. Okay, so we're going to talk about the wine tonight. We're going to talk about wine you don't drink. So there's it's very intoxicating wine, but not because we imbibe it, but we only pour it and look at it. What is this cup of wine we pour and don't look at? And that we look at and we don't drink? Cup of Elijah. And perhaps if you have a childhood memory of going to open the door, right, which is a cup of Elijah, we go to open the door for Elijah. And of course, there's the age-old custom of old dads, myself included, that hit the table and the little wine spills. And you try and convince the kids, you see, Elijah drank the wine, right? Is that one of your childhood memories? Anyone? Nobody? Yes. Mindy, thank you for validating me. Michael, thank you. That's my childhood memory. And I'm giving that to my children. It's like the tooth fairy, whatever. Like it's part of the game, part of the Seder, all the questions in the cup did spill, it didn't spill. They're watching me spill. They're trying to, It's all part of the Seder experience. Anyway, spilling wine is a very important, Kabbalistically, to spill wine. I'm joking. But if you've ever been to a Seder where nobody spilled any wine, it's a question if it was a kosher Seder. You know what I'm saying? I saw a cute meme right before class. Someone posted in my family chat. This guy's like eating matzah, crumbs. Like you ever saw, like, we eat the matzah fast. You got to eat the whole kazayas. Not that, you don't take a little nibble of matzah. You eat a lot of matzah. So this guy is eating matzah. There's crumbs everywhere. Then he stands up, and then you see like a dump truck, like pouring the dirt. Like, so if no wine spilled at your Seder table, I think there's a question if it was a kosher Seder, and you may have to start again from the beginning. But anyway, spilling wine is like part of the age-old traditions of Jewish homes. It's not written in the book anywhere, but it's part of the traditions. But anyway, so we open the door and we pour the cup of Elijah. So why do we pour this fifth cup of wine? What's the reason? Why are we pouring another cup of wine? At that point, we've poured 3. Why are we pouring a 5th cup of wine? Now, what's interesting is that in the Talmud, there's actually a discussion, there's a debate in the Talmud if we should have 4 cups of wine or 5 cups of wine. Now, the halacha is that we have 4 cups, but in the Shulchan Aruch, in the code of Jewish law, when the Shulchan Aruch writes that we have 4 cups of wine, the Ramah, Moshe Issosh, actually adds a footnote, a gloss, and says if someone that needs to drink more and wants to have another cup of wine should say the Hallel Haggadah, which means another more songs of praise, and have a 5th cup of wine. So we even have a concept in halacha of having a 5th cup of wine. And yet, this 5th cup of wine that we drink has nothing to do with the 5th cup of wine according to Jewish law, meaning the same number 5. But the fact that in Jewish law there's a debate about what cup of wine, should we have 4 cups or 5 cups, and there's actually even an age-old teaching from the Vilna Gaon, a very interesting teaching, that he says, why do we pour a 5th cup that we don't drink, that we call the cup of Eliyahu Navi, the cup of Elijah the prophet? Because we know one of the jobs of Elijah the prophet will be to answer all the questions that were unresolved. In the Talmud, there's actually an abbreviation of 4 Hebrew words, Teku. It's an acronym, Teku. Means whenever you have sometimes in the Talmud you have a question and there's no answer, and the rabbis will say, Teku, which means we're going to leave this for Elijah the prophet. He is going to be the one to answer this question. We don't know the answer. So because there's a debate if we should drink 4 cups or 5 cups, so the Vilna Gaon says something very interesting. We'll pour the 5th cup. We're not going to drink it because we don't know if we should drink it. And you're not supposed to drink more after the 4 cups of wine, just so you understand. After the Afikomen, you're not supposed to eat or drink anything else, just the additional cups of wine. So we don't want to drink more wine after the Afikomen. It's an important point, by the way. Like during the meal, you can drink as much as you want. But after the Afikomen, we don't drink besides for those 2 cups. So because we're not sure, so we call it the cup of Elijah, because when Elijah the prophet will come, he will resolve this debate in the Talmud if there should be 4 cups or 5 cups. That's a Talmudic answer. That's not a Chabad answer. It's a we call a lumdish. It's a scholarly answer. It's a cute scholarly answer. It's not a Hasidic. Good evening, everyone that's watching us. So why do we have this 5th cup? Well, let's first go back for a minute now, and let's go back to the 4 cups. Why do we have 4 cups? Anyone knows why we have 4 cups of wine at our Seder? To get us drunk. Okay. Some need more than 4 cups, yeah. Some need 1 cup, yeah. Very good, Mindy. Perhaps Mindy's on the right track, and she also has a paper in front of her, which helps. She didn't even look at the paper. But Mindy is 100% correct. So the reason why we have 4 cups of wine at our Seder is because when God promised Moses to take the Jewish people out of Egypt, God used 4 expressions of redemption, and each one of these 4 cups of wine is meant to remember another one of the expressions of redemption that God used. So let's read it. Yeah, it's right there. So you didn't look. Okay, you just remember good. You know your stuff. So in chapter 6 of the book of Exodus, God says to Moses, therefore say to the Israelite people, I am Hashem your God, v'hotzeisi eschem, Mitachas Sivlos Mitzrayim. I bolded in Hebrew and in English the word I wanted you to pay attention to. V'hotzesi eschem means I will free you, or I will take you out from the labors of the Egyptians. V'hitzalti eschem me'avodasam, and I will save you, or I'll deliver you from their bondage. V'ga'alti eschem b'zroya netui v'shvatim g'derden, and I will deliver you from their bondage. I will redeem you from the I will redeem you with an outstretched arm through extraordinary miracles, and they say here chastisements with extraordinary, wonders. And I will take you from me to be a nation. And I will be for you a God. And then you will know that I, the Lord, am the God who took you out of the labors of the Egyptians. Those are the two verses that are always quoted. It's all over Jewish law. This is a basic idea that my children will tell you if you sit by the Seder. Mindy said it correctly. There's 4 expressions of redemption that are brought by God to describe our exodus. Number 1, v'hotzesi, I will free you. Number 2, v'hitzalti, I will deliver you. Number 3, v'ga'alti eschem, I will redeem you. Number 4, v'lekachti eschem, I will take you for me to be a nation. Hence 4 cups of wine. However, if you're still looking at the paper, you're going to see the very next verse that I bolded and I left for you. I didn't even try and hide it to make it into a separate text. The very next words of the very next verse say, "V'hevesi eschem el haaretz," and I will bring you into the land that I swore to give to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzchak, to Yaakov, and I will give it to you for a possession. I am the Lord your God. So what's the obvious question? Why only 4 cups if there's actually 5 expressions of redemption? So let's see if you guys can figure out what is the difference. Use your thinking caps for a second. You see the text in front of you. What is the difference between the first 4 expressions of redemption and the 5th one, the Hevesi Eschem, that I will bring you into the land that I swore to your forefathers? If you're on the chat, you're watching us, feel free to... what's after he takes us out?
I will bring you into the land.
I will bring you to the land is after exactly, meaning did it happen yet? No. The first 4 are things that the Jews had experienced by our exodus. When the Jews sat down for the Seder, they never made it to the land. So God takes us out, check. He redeemed us, check. He saved us, checked. He took us for a nation, brought us to Mount Sinai, check. But I'll bring you to the land that I promised to your fathers. The Jews that left Egypt didn't experience that. And to go a little bit even more, today when we are celebrating the Pesach Seder, and we've experienced the first 4, the final verse of I will bring you in the future tense to the land that I swore to your fathers, is really a reference to Mashiach, and we haven't had that yet. So therefore, we can't drink a cup of wine to celebrate something we haven't yet experienced. We can't drink to something that hasn't happened yet. You can only drink to something that you've experienced. It was beautiful. I mean, we can do that. We can say give blessing for the future. But by Jewish law, to drink the cup of wine, it has to be something that the Jews have actually had that experience. So the 4 things that already happened, the redemption, the exodus, the being taken to God at Mount Sinai, that we drink the wine. The 5th cup, which is a reference to the 5th expression of redemption. But it's an expression of redemption in the future tense, that I will bring you to the land of Egypt, that the Jews didn't actually experience yet. So that expression of redemption, we don't drink. So there's no cup. But we don't ignore it. We don't want to forget that there's an expression of redemption. So what do? Help me out. What do?
Elijah's cup.
Exactly. We pour it. We see it. We look at it. You can almost smell the wine. You can see the wine. But you don't drink it yet because we're waiting for the redemption. We're hoping for the redemption. We're yearning for the redemption. And that's the cup that we pour, but we don't actually drink. Make sense?
Yeah.
How many sages have you done you never knew that? Welcome to That's Why You Have to Learn. I was at a woman's house today, and she told me she has a grandson that's in Hebrew school, and she's telling her grandson was telling her the whole Pesach story, and she's like, "Where do you think you learned that story?" Because he was didn't want to go to Hebrew school, so she said, "You have to go." Even the rabbi, she said to him, even the rabbi learns every day. She said, "So it's never. We're always learning. We're always learning new things that we didn't know." I learned things in this class. I'm going to tell you that I never knew before either. By the way, so me and you are in the same boat. Me and you are in the same boat. Question being asked to do the four cups have anything to do with the four sons? No. I mean, obviously, you can connect number four is connected to many. Number four is in the Haggadah. The four questions of four, there's many fours. But no, the 4 cups of wine is for the 4 expressions of redemption. And Brent, his cantor uncorks the wine, but they mix with California sparkling fruit juice. Okay? If you're sober, yes. If you're sober, you can have grape juice. And grape juice is 100%. You can make a hagafen on grape juice, and grape juice is 100% kosher. Okay. Now, my friends, so we got so far. Oh, and one more very important detail. Why do we call the cup that's being poured for the cup of for the future expression of redemption with the name of Elijah? Because what is the job of Elijah? Exactly. The very job of Elijah is to be the one that will herald the coming of Mashiach. And therefore we call it the cup of Eliyahu Navi. I want to read to you a very interesting text. I mean, interesting is important. It's going to bring closure and clarity to this idea from the Shulchan Aruch, from the Code of Jewish Law of the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe writes, we'll skip the Hebrew, I'll read it in English. The door is opened. It's talking about when we pour the 5th cup of Elijah. The door is opened to recall that it is a night of protection, and we do not fear anything. In the merit of this faith, Mashiach will come, and the Holy One, blessed be He, will pour out His wrath on the nations. In some places, it is customary not to lock the rooms where the members of the household sleep on Pesach night, since it is a night of protection for the children of Israel for all generations. In Hebrew, it's called Leil Shimurim, a night of guarding. And there's many, many stories throughout Jewish history of miracles that happened to the Jewish people on the night of Pesach where God guarded us. Many stories that come to mind. And so therefore, since this night of Pesach is a time for God to redeem the Jewish people from exile, if the night when Eliyahu Navi will come, and if He will come, He will find an open door, and we will speedily go out and greet Him. We believe in this promise, and this faith brings with it a great reward. Nevertheless, in places where thieves are common, one should not rely on a miracle. So for those that are worried, I feel that they can't go to sleep, the door's open. But in my house, we don't lock the doors. We go to sleep, the door's unlocked. Really? If you want to come steal from my house, Wednesday night, my front doors will be unlocked. Yeah. Now, and I said that on Facebook. You know my address. What's your address? Yeah, my home is unlocked. Always. It is customary. It's a night of guarding. It's a night of protection. It's a night when God is watching over the Jewish people. Why should we lock the doors? What? Can we skip it? Let me finish. I'll tell you. It's customary in these regions to fill another cup in addition to the cups filled for all those dining. This cup is called the cup of Eliyahu the prophet. So they say that in Lubavitch, there were thieves. It was professional thieves. So the night of Pesach, every door was unlocked, but it was Pesach, so they wouldn't steal. So they said they would never steal on Pesach. They would just go scouting out which homes to go to after the holiday. But they wouldn't steal on Pesach. You don't mix. But on the serious note, I'm going to get distracted for a minute. The night of Pesach is the night that God is giving tremendous protection and blessing to the Jewish people. I want you to realize it's not that because a miracle happened many years ago on this night of Passover. Therefore, we have a Pesach Seder. It's the opposite. Pesach, the night of the 15th of Nisan, is a night that is hardwired into creation, a tremendous amount of divine protection and guarding over His people. And therefore, all the miracles that happened to the Jewish people, beginning with the miraculous birth of Yitzchak on Pesach. That's when the angels came to tell Abraham he's going to have a child. And many, many miracles that happened to the Jewish people that all took place on the night of Pesach. We were saved time and time again from many threats against us. One of the most famous examples is the birth of the Maharal of Prague. the Maharal of Prague. I think the Rambam's birthday is also on the 14th of Nisan, but the Maharal of Prague, Rabbi Yehuda Loew, I'll tell you a story. Right? We can get distracted, right? We'll get distracted. It's a very important story. It's very connected to the theme. And if I don't finish everything I wanted to say today, it's fine because I think I'm going to do a part 2 next week anyway, so it's fine. I want to tell you, that's a good thing about this class. I want to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story. Because I see all the resistance in the room. When I said my front door is unlocked, I feel all this resistance. So I feel the need to share a story. The Rabbi Yehuda Loew of Prague was one of the very, very famous rabbis of Jewish history. He was known as the Maharal in short, which is an abbreviation or an acronym of his name, Rabbi Yehuda Loew. Very, very famous person. He wrote a very famous Haggadah. But some of you may know what he's most famous for, which is, anyone knows? Exactly, very good, Rick. The making of the golem. You are correct. The golem, if you heard of the golem, I can maybe spend the next half hour on this topic. The golem was let me go back a little bit. The historical context is very important. The Maharal, we're going back to like the 15th century now, 1500s. The Maharal lived in a time when blood libels, for those who don't know what that is, where non-Jews would accuse Jews of killing Christian children and putting their blood into our matzah, which is obviously a crazy, ludicrous claim, but unfortunately it was a claim used to justify the killing of probably tens of thousands of Jews over the course of our history, and pogroms and tremendous destruction where the priests would come and they would rile up the masses and give fiery sermons about the Jews who killed their Savior, and we eat the blood of the Christian children, and then they would find a dead child, or they would kill the child, even worse, plant the body in the rabbi's home or in the Jewish in the synagogue, and then they would find the proof. Many, many, many horrific stories, and this was a problem that the Jews went through for many, many years. And the Maharal of Prague actually made a golem to defend, like a guardian, literally a guardian over the Jewish neighborhood. They had problems with thieves and with hoodlums, and not just on Pesach, but in general to protect the Jewish people. He was also very influential, convincing, I think, the emperor at that time, of the Pope, to finally come out with a public statement that it's a false. Anyway, fake news. Yeah, exactly right. The night that the Maharal was born, his entire family is sitting around the Seder table. And all of a sudden, his mother went into early labor with terrible, terrible contractions and pain out of nowhere at the Seder. And she's screaming and shouting in pain. She went to suddenly her water burst and she was getting terrible, terrible contractions. And a bunch of the guests ran out of the house to go find the midwife. And unbeknownst to them, as they went running out of the house and they heard this woman screaming and shouting and they're running out of the house, they surprised 2 Christians who had been in the process of planting the dead body of a Christian child on the property of the rabbi's home. His father was the rabbi of Prague. Rabbi Yehuda Loew's father was, I don't remember his father's name, but he was the rabbi of Prague. And they were planting the body, creating the evidence to go that on the day or in the morning, they would find the evidence. And instead of us having a holiday, to be pogroms and that all people will be riled up, and on our holiday, all the Jews gathered in the synagogue to come in. So they're putting the evidence that night. And all of a sudden, the mother of Rabbi Yehuda Loew went into this terrible, terrible pain, and running out to go find the midwife. These 2 thieves carrying this dead body, were about to put into the cellar, whatever, hear the commotion and see people running. What do they think? That they're running after them. They thought if you have a guilty conscience, right, you think that you were just found. So they start running away. And they're running with this big bag over their shoulders. And there was police on duty, night of Pesach. And they see 2 guys running in the street at night with a big bag over their shoulders. What did the police officers think? They stole. They went to Pesach home. The doors are open. They stole. They grabbed these 2 guys. They opened the bag. They see the dead body. And the Jewish people were saved from what could have been a terrible catastrophe. Already the moment even before he was born, he went into labor early, saved the Jewish community from the destruction and the death that could have come from this blood libel. This is just one of many, many stories where God actively protects the Jewish people, and there's many, many more, where God saw the Baal Shem Tov and the decree with the Sultan, where Hashem watches over us on this night called Leil Shimurim. It's a night that God watches over us. That was the night that we were taken out of Egypt. It was the night that God promised to be taken out of Egypt 400 years earlier, when Yitzchak was when Avram said when Yitzchak was born, and it's a night throughout our history that God has watched over us, and therefore we trust in Hashem. And even though obviously you have to do your part, had a conversation with someone else this week about the fact that we hired security now for Shabbos, and this person didn't like it, whatever. We trust in God, whatever. Today, having security is not it's like you lock your door, right? You lock your door. I told him, you lock your door, and now you don't go to sleep with the door open. Would you trust in God? It's considered normal behavior. Today, unfortunately, hiring security is considered normal behavior. It's not considered excessive anymore. But regardless, the point is, we trust that God is watching over us. And therefore, to physically exemplify and show how much we trust in God, and how confident we are in the fact that God is watching over us, we don't lock the doors, because night of guarding, God is watching over us, and God is taking care of it. Okay. So now clear?
Yes.
Okay.
There's no
I have nothing to be afraid of.
Can I ask one
Sure.
back to the wine? Is there a special way after the meal, the wine is still there? Are you supposed to pour it back in the bottle? Are you supposed to drink it? Are you supposed to throw it
No, we
out?
do not drink the wine. Good question. What do we do with the wine after we finish the Seder? We pour it back into the bottle and we drink it. And we drink it later, not next day, whatever. You can drink it another time, but the wine is not. Normally, when you use wine for a blessing, it becomes pogum. It becomes like used wine. This wine is totally good wine that you can drink. In fact, when the Rebbe would pour back the wine after the Seder, it would be like a whole ceremony. He would sing a song, everything. He would sing, and this idea of bringing that faith. Well, we're going to get to that in a few minutes. Okay. So clear. So here's something I want to share with you. The idea that I can't even say before the story actually, but so this idea, we're pouring a cup to show an expression of faith that the Hevesi, the fifth expression of redemption described in the Torah, not just the first four that are describing the Exodus that we already experienced, but describing the fifth cup, the Hevesi Eslam, I will bring you into the land that I promised to your forefathers, which is an expression of faith in the future redemption. It's not enough to pour the cup. We pour the cup. You know what we do next? We go and we physically open the door for a non-physical person. Meaning Eliyahu Navi is not physically coming through our doorways. There's an energy of Elijah that's present at the moment. But despite the fact that we kick the table and we make the cup shake and, despite all of that, Eliyahu Navi is not coming through the door. So what's happening? Why are we standing up like a child's play to go and open the door? It's like make believe, like we're playing a game.
To show our faith, to show our belief.
Yeah.
It's a symbol.
Say again.
A symbol.
It's a symbol.
Actually, he's supposed to be through that door
He's supposed to come through the door.
spiritually,
Spiritually, but why are you opening the physical door?
because I believe he's coming through the door.
Okay.
We do things in a physical way.
One night, I took my parents' friend to her daughter's house, and she told me to pick her up at a certain time, which I did. They were still having to pay off dinner. I knocked on the door. They came over. Elijah is here!
You remind me of a story. Don't take it personal. I was actually thinking, as you were saying before, so talking about opening the door for Elijah the prophet. There's an old story. I don't know if it's a Hasidic story, a true story, a fake story. I don't know, but it's a story I know from my childhood of this couple, whatever, they're having the Pesach Seder. They drink a lot of wine. I guess the drunk wine was very strong. Comes time to go open the door for Elijah the prophet. Now, in that town, there was a wild goat. In general, goats that the firstborn, you can't do anything with them. So it was a goat that belonged to a Jew, it was a firstborn goat, so you can't make it work. It was a wild goat that would roam the streets of the city. long beard. You ever saw a goat, right? Long beard this goat had. And the goat is roaming the streets of the city, Pesach night. It smells all this good food everywhere. And this guy who was a little bit tipsy from all the wine he drank, he comes, he's holding the thing to come to open the door for Elijah the prophet. And his mazel, as he opens the door, who's standing there in the doorway? This goat. And the lighting wasn't so good, there's no street lights back then. And he sees a guy standing in the doorway with a beard. He says, Elijah the prophet. Elijah has come to visit me. Elijah has come. He's so excited. He says, Elijah, come in, be my guest. And he's like escorting Elijah into the house. Now this goat smelled all the food in the home, didn't need a second invitation. The goat came in right onto the table. Sure enough, it drank the cup of Elijah, for real. And everything else it could devour on that table, it ate it all up. And after finished eating everything up, and this guy's so excited. He's so happy. Look, Elijah came. Elijah's eating the leftover chicken, the leftover soup, the leftover this, the leftover, whatever this goat could find is eating it up. Finally, the goat finished eating everything. And what does the goat do when it's finished eating? Yeah, I'll let you use your imagination to figure what it does next. Right there on top of the table. And all of a sudden, the wine wore off suddenly, very quickly. And this man realized what's going on. He said, Elijah, we're glad to feed you, but why did you have to lead us a gift? Why did you have to leave us a gift for? Like, we fed you, okay. Nothing to return the favor. I have no idea why I'm sharing that story, but it's Elijah opening the door for Elijah. I felt more for bringing one. We're like off script. I actually don't have my papers, actually. I couldn't print, so I need to get whatever. I don't have my papers in front of me. So, on a serious note, why do we open the door? Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're supposed to, every generation, feel as though we personally are being redeemed. And we have all of the symbols and the order of the Seder to reenact that. And so we have to physically open the door to show that, yes, we believe that Geula is coming and is in.
Exactly. The words of the Alter Rebbe, the words, superstar tonight. Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly. The words of the Alter Rebbe that we read a few minutes ago was Elijah might show up and the door will be locked. Meaning, it's not enough for us to just pour a cup of Elijah and to say, Eliyahu Nevi is going to come. He's going to be the one to herald the coming of Mashiach. The verse, the prophecy says, we didn't read it, but the prophet says that before Mashiach will come, Elijah will come, and we're waiting and we're yearning for the day, and to pay lip service to the concept that we're waiting for the redemption to happen. Rather, we need to actually act upon that which we say we believe. So if I truly believe that Eliyahu Navi will come tonight, I have to get up and do something tangible to show that it's real to me. It's a tangible belief. And this is something that the Rebbe spoke about many times, the idea of living with Mashiach, of acting in a way that I'm behaving as if right now Mashiach could come. And so maybe it's hard for all of us on a regular Monday night to feel like Mashiach could come tonight. Maybe it's hard for us to act it in a way we believe it's possible. But when you're sitting by your Seder and you just went through all the description of all the miracles that God did for us, not just when we left Egypt, but throughout history, and you're saying V'hisha Amdalav Hossein, right? That God was the one that protected us from the Crusaders and the Cossacks and the Khomeini and the Hamas and the Hezbollah and all that. He told us God is protecting us time and time again. And you say that and you repeat that and you live it, etc. Now you're pouring a cup to remember the fifth expression of redemption, the expression of the Hevesi, of I will bring you to the land of Egypt, an expression of God's promise of a future redemption. It's not enough to just say it. It's not enough in the privacy of your home to pour the cup. You have to actually get up and start to behave. The door should be open because we're so confident Elijah might show up tonight. And if he comes, I want to know the door is open. It's very, very powerful. Now, by the way, this is not logical. It's powerful, but it's not logical. So here I learned something from the Rebbe I never knew before. See, we all learned something new. In the Talmudic explanation, why we have a fifth cup of wine is because in the Talmud there's a debate if we should have 4 cups or 5 cups. We're not sure. So we have the cup on the table, so we kind of like cover all of our bases, so to say. But today, the 5th cup of Eliyahu Navi is not connected to the 5th cup of the Seder. It's very clear the way the Alter Rebbe writes about the cup of Elijah the prophet. It's very clear this has nothing to do with the 4 cups. This is an additional cup that has to do with Elijah and with the redemption, with the promise of a future. Nothing to do with the Talmudic debate about the 5 cups or 4 cups. Something completely different. Which means the Talmud is a time when the Jews had tremendous wisdom. On the intellectual, scholarly level, the Jews of the Talmud were far, far more advanced than us. Today, we don't have the wisdom of the Talmud. We don't have the scholarship of those living at those times. We don't have the ability to determine the 4 cups, the 5 cups. But as we have less of the wisdom and the scholarly analysis of the Talmud, you know what we have more of? They had wine back then. They drank more wine in the Talmud than when we do today. Talmud, they drink wine every day. You know, we have as we have less intellectual knowledge of Judaism and less intellectual capacity and scholarship, as that gets less, our ability to believe with a whole heart, our faith, our pure, sincere, whole emunah, our faith in God, which is not blurred and confused by intellectual, rational analysis, increases. There's a bitachon, emunah. There's almost like, it doesn't have to be this way, but this is on the generational level. As we go further from having a cup because of a halachic question in the Talmud, we come to a new custom. By the way, the custom of the cup of Elijah is not mentioned anywhere in the Talmud. I meant to say this earlier. It's not mentioned anywhere in the Talmud. It's not in the Talmud. It's a new custom. It's not even clear exactly when it started. It's a newer custom. Some say it's connected to the question of the Talmud, but the Alter is clear that's not the reason why. And so therefore this cup, as we're in a state where we have less of an intellectual capacity, which is, we're missing something, it allows us for more of an emotional connection to God, more of a pure, holistic faith. And therefore, in the whole Haggadah, in the whole Seder experience, the real moment when the faith of a Jew really can shine forth is at the moment that we pour the cup of Eliyahu Navi. When we pour the cup of Elijah the prophet. And after we pour that cup, we don't drink it. We don't internalize it, because internalizing is what? Wisdom. Wisdom you internalize. When I teach you something, when you learn something, you internalize it. Right? You think about it, you analyze it. What do I think about it? So wisdom is something that we drink, we internalize. But the cup of Elijah is not something we can drink. The level of faith is not something we can rationally explain. It's not something that we can pinpoint and say, this is why I believe. This is why it makes sense to believe. Real, sincere emunah comes from something that's completely transcendent. Something we're not able to even properly internalize and explain. And therefore, we don't drink the cup of Elijah. Because it's not an internal experience. It's a transcendent experience. But it's a transcendent experience that reveals the highest level of the soul that's able to truly, sincerely believe. And when we truly, sincerely believe, then we're able to not just pour the cup and to pay lip service to the coming of Mashiach. We're able to actually get off our chairs and do a physical act of opening a door that may sound childish and make believe, because we truly, sincerely believe right now, tonight, Mashiach might come, and when Eliyahu Navi comes to announce the coming of Mashiach, he's going to come to my house. Not just going to go to the synagogue. Not just going to go to the rabbi's house. He's going to come to my home, And I don't want him to have to wait to ring the doorbell or to knock on the door. I want him to know that I was waiting for him. It's very powerful. Think about it. There's a beautiful example of this. Beautiful example of this. In 1941, if I'm not mistaken, in 1941, Simchas Torah, the previous Chabad Rebbe, this is, 1941 was a very, very, very dark time for the Jewish people. It was right in the middle, the Holocaust, where the millions of Jews were being killed. The previous Rebbe just came to America, but barely escaped with his life. The majority of his Hasidim were being killed in Europe. In 1941, the previous Rebbe announced that it's time to start preparing ourselves for the coming of Mashiach. But not just Mashiach, like sing a song, whatever. But to do something practical and tangible. And so in Simchas Torah of 1941, the previous Rebbe announced that he was going to write a Sefer Torah specifically to be used to greet Mashiach, called Mashiach Sefer Torah. Mashiach Sefer Torah. That was, and he wanted that everyone should be involved in writing this Torah. It shouldn't be a private project of the Rebbe or of some rich people, but no one was able to dedicate it. Everyone was able to buy a letter in this Torah. So the idea of buying letters began, and the Rebbe, previous Rebbe, wanted as many people as possible should participate and buy participation and buy their share and have their letter in this Mashiach's Sefer Torah. The Rebbe found the scribe. The Rebbe himself was involved in choosing the parchment that was going to be used and sourcing it and everything. And it began. And then for whatever reason, it stopped. It wasn't, I don't know exactly the details, exactly why it stopped. I'd have to go look into, I once read about it a long time ago, until 1970. 1970, 20 years after the previous Rebbe passed away, it's also a whole story for itself. After 20 years of Yud Shvat and 20 years of the Rebbe saying Maimarim, many details. In 1970, out of the blue, the Rebbe announced that it's time to finish Mashiach Sefer Torah. And again, the large campaign was done. At this time, enough people participated and gave their dollar, their participation in, I don't know, the dollar, whatever it was, to participate in the Mashiach Sefer Torah. And on Yud Shvat, on the 10th day of Shvat of 1971, exactly, 1941 to 1971, the Rebbe finished the Sefer Torah that will be used specifically for Mashiach. And matter if you've ever seen pictures, just you know what I'm talking about, if you ever seen a picture of the Rebbe holding a Torah, you ever seen a picture like a small Torah? Small Torah. That's Mashiach Sefer Torah. They only use it for special occasions. They have it now in 770. They don't put it out normally. On Simchas Torah, if you ever go to 770 Simchas Torah, you can fight to get into line for like an hour to go up on like a whole ramp, and you can kiss that Mashiach Sefer Torah. That's in 770. And they bring it up to the women's section. If I'm not mistaken, the Rebbe told to bring it up, whatever. The point is, the Jew has to be able to not just say, I believe in Mashiach, not just to live within some abstract form, but in order to live with it, to act as if it's happening now. And so that brings us to today. What's happening today? What's happening today? Today we're living in what is literally, perhaps, no one knows. Only God knows. Can't say for a fact. But today we're living through times where the prophet, I mentioned this on Shabbos, where the prophecies that the kingdom, the Talmud says before exiles of the Jewish people. The Greek Empire will fall, will disappear. The Babylonian Empire will fall, will disappear. Today there's no one that's a descendant of the Babylonians. There's no one who's a descendant of Greece today. It's nothing to do with the Greek Empire of once upon a time that the Hellenists and all that. The Greek language, the Greek culture of then doesn't exist today. The Olympics, but that's But Rome, the Empire of Rome, still exists. The entire Western world is a continuation of Rome. Christianity and the whole the form of government and the Senate and the judiciary and Rome. The culture of Rome is the culture of the West today, and the empire of Persia. Persia, the Persian Empire, is Iran. Literally Iran. The Iranian people today directly trace themselves. They have the same thing. I spoke on the Shabbos, that some holiday that they have, Zoroaster or whatever, that I was reading. They said the same god of fire and the same, celebrations, same rituals that they had for thousands of years that they still have. Same language, same place. So you have these two empires. There's a very famous medrash that before Mashiach comes, the kingdom of Rome, or the king of Rome, will rise up and will destroy the kingdom of Persia. That's what's happening. King of Rome, whether you like it or not, Trump is the king of Rome. Whether you think he's smart, you think he's stupid, it doesn't make a difference. This is the facts that are happening. The facts are that Trump is right now actively the biggest superpower in the world, is together with Israel, which is the best power in the world, are actively destroying the Persian Empire. And they're like Pharaoh, that their heart is hard, and they're unable to recognize the destruction that's being inflicted upon them, literally, like what Pharaoh did. And I read some news articles that make me so nervous. Trump misjudged because, look, Iran is winning. Iran is, because the fact that Iran is talking like they're demanding retribution. If you lived in Egypt, I'm going to write this. If you lived in Egypt during plague number 6, plague number 7, and everybody knew that Egypt was being destroyed, and then you heard the official statement from the Pharaoh's press office. You probably had a press office, and his official spokesman, Pharaoh come out and give a speech. What do you think Pharaoh said? We're going to win. These Jews are helpless. They're terrible. They're slaves. And Pharaoh spewed the same propaganda. And by the way, Pharaoh believed it. Pharaoh's heart was hardened by God, means that Pharaoh was incapable of understanding the destruction that was happening to his people. Everyone else saw, but he couldn't see it. That's exactly what there's no logical way to explain how someone's country could be destroyed. The way Iran's being pummeled for the last, I don't know how it's 2 weeks, whatever it is. I think 8,000 different strikes, and whatever. I don't know the exact numbers by heart. Thousands upon thousands of targets have been destroyed. All of their planning, how many billions of dollars of technology and of investments and it's gone. It's gone. And yet they're talking as if the whole world is at their mercy and that they're winning and they're there's no logical explanation. So either you think that America is lying and actually we didn't destroy them and that they're actually winning us and that we don't know what we're doing, or you have to understand that I don't know if it's Khamenei. Who knows who's running the country of Iran today? We have no idea. It's a secret who's running. Even the Mossad and said no one knows who's running the country. But whoever thinks they're running the country are literally suffering from the exact same hard heart syndrome. That's my copyrighted language from a class years ago. The same hard heart syndrome of Pharaoh. And they're incapable of seeing the destruction that's happening to them. So imagine there's a teaching from Shlomo Lianio I saw it's going around. It was on the internet that he describes a certain war that will take place normally it's in Basra. It's too complicated. It's Basra is a place that is part of the territory of the Jordan, on the east side of the Jordan River, one of the cities of refuge. But this Basra, says this Rabbi Shlomo Liano, is the Hormuz, which are under the rule of the Arabs. That's what he writes. So there's many signs. Yeah, it's a little complicated, but basically there was a rabbi, a great Kabbalist, his name was Rabbi Shlomo Lian, if I remember correctly, Lianano. And he writes that based on a statement of a medrash or the Talmud about, I don't remember, I wasn't going to say it so much now, but basically that the Satan is trying to escape punishment. So he goes to a city of refuge. Okay, because in the city of refuge, the Satan, force of evil in the world, will have protection. And he goes, but he gets the wrong place. When he puts into his GPS the address, he wants to go to Betzer. Betzer, all the way around. Betzer is one of the 3 cities of refuge that Moshe made on the east side of the Jordan River. You know what city of refuge is, right? Ari Mikla. So a person killed accidentally, they run to the city of refuge and they're protected over there. So he tries to hide in the city of refuge. By mistake, instead of going to Betzer, he goes to Batsra. And Batsra is a city that normally is considered to be somewhere in Babylonia. It's not connected to Iran. But this rabbi explains that actually the language he writes is something like, lucky are those who are happy, are those who know the truth. I read this. Happy are those who know the truth of the things. And he basically described that this Batzra, where the angel of death runs to, is a place called Hormuz. So he writes, you see it in Hebrew, Hormuz Shmai, and it's under the control of the Yishmaelim, which is the Arabs. And after I'll share this. I'll find you the source. It's in Hebrew. I'll share this. The point is, there's so many signs that the world is going through literally unbelievable transformation. Unbelievable transformation. And the enemies of the Jewish people are being destroyed. They're being eradicated. On one hand, you can argue, what do you mean? There's so much more anti-Semitism now. There's so much more hate in the world than there was 3-4 years ago. But that's a good thing. That's when a person is expelling a sickness. You know what happens when you expel a sickness? When your body is fighting something. You see either a rash, or you throw up, you get a fever. What does that mean? Your body's fighting it. The fever is a good thing. When you have a fever, it's a good thing. Sometimes you take medicine just because it's too high, whatever. Like having a fever is actually, your body is doing something. It's worse when you don't have the fever. If you have some whatever cancer, God forbid, inside you, you don't get fever, right? The body's not fighting it. When you get the rash, when you throw up, it means you got a virus or whatever, and your body is. So yeah, throwing up is very messy. No one likes seeing somebody throw up, but actually throwing up it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's messy, it's dirty, it's very unpleasant, but it's actually a very good thing. The source of evil, the source of our enemies, the funding of our enemies, the head. We've been cutting off the last 2 years, cutting off this part of the octopus, that part of the octopus. The head of evil is being destroyed. Kind of means like the Haman of today, he was killed. And more of the people that are leading the Iranian regime and the IRGC are being killed. One by one, they're being killed. Hopefully not. So Turkey. So from a geopolitical perspective, yeah, it's a valid concern. And we can have that geopolitical conversation after class. But the real issue, though, from a Jewish perspective, is I'm not worried. Why? Because I see how God is doing things that were unimaginable. What Israel is doing now, no one imagines. No one imagined that we will be able to go for 2-3 weeks of absolute air superiority. We can fly anywhere we want in Iran, anytime we want, and just bomb and bomb and bomb. And Iran's a big country, 90 million people. I'm saying it's a lot of land. It's not so easy to take out every one of those police stations, every one of those weapons depots, and etc. But we're doing it. We're going. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of missions. And how many soldiers did we lose in all these missions? How many Israeli soldiers? America lost 4 or 6 in an accident that happened over Qatar, over Bahrain, whatever. That was not. This was a mishap with the helicopter. 4, I think there were 13, including. And not to minimize American casualties, and American casualty is still a casualty, and no one should die. But from an Israeli perspective, how many died? Nobody died. Nobody died. You had that was from a missile. That was not a soldier. Statistically, every certain number of missions, there's going to be a failure. There's no company in the world. There's nothing in the world that has such a high. There's like 8,000 air missions. I'm going to Google. I don't know if I find the number quick enough. In the last 2-3 weeks, from Saturday, so it's 2 weeks and 2 days, 3 days, 16 days, 8,000 missions. The likelihood of not having even one airplane come down, not even a friendly fire, thank God. It's. I didn't know. I wrote a little bit on Facebook, but I just wanted to talk about. Not yesterday, 2 days ago. Today, on Motzei Shabbos, Saturday night, a missile landed in Arad, near Dimona. You saw it, right? You saw it? And you get an idea of how big these missiles are. And you saw where it landed? Between the buildings. You have a massive apartment complex here, and a massive complex here, and a missile the size of a bus. People don't understand what a missile is. A missile is not like, you're shooting bows and arrows and with a little machine gun. A missile the size of a bus lands in between the two buildings. In between. Now, it still did a lot of damage, and you see the videos. The videos are horrific to watch at night. The cameras goes in all directions, a full 360 of destruction all around. If you've seen the video, 360 of destruction. There's not a window to be seen. It's all blown out, everything. You know how many people were killed in that attack? 0. Now, there's some people that are in serious condition in the hospital. There was 90-something that were taken wounded, some in very serious conditions. But the fact, if literally the missile would have hit 10 kilometers this way, 10 meters this way, 10 this way, direct hit on the building, there would have hundreds of casualties. These are big buildings. The lands between the building. Now, gosh, I might not land at all. But then we would forget, we would begin to become we take it for granted that we have had thousands upon thousands of missiles and drones launched at us in a 2-week span. First of all, our success rate is beyond what they ever imagined,
90%.
which is beyond their own hopeful. Okay, 92%.
For the missiles that they were shot.
Yeah, okay, and they're. I thought it was higher than that, but even if it's 92, officially, by their own metrics, their success rate is 90, and yet they're surpassing their own. You have a high and a low,
Correct.
right? They're above their high, meaning when you make anything, right? You say this is worst case scenario, this is the best case scenario. Best case, we have 90% interception rate, and they're beyond that. It's not a logical thing. It's not a logical thing. I shared this story before. I'm going to say it again because it's such a powerful story that happened in the last 12-day war with Iran, which are the same miracles. These are the same miracles, which happened by the way Pesach time. Literally, it was exactly a year. I mean, the 12-day war was in June. The first time they sent missiles to us, where Jordan and the other nations were shooting down missiles against us, was right before Pesach. But in June, so there was a Chabad guy, a Chabad rabbi in Israel, who has a neighbor who, like a real Israeli atheist, nice guy, but would always argue with him and fight with him, and they would always have these debates in Judaism back and forth. And during the 12-day war, he didn't see him, he didn't whatever. Anyway, one day he calls him up a few days after the 12-day war ended. He calls him up and he says, "You're home?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "I'm on my way home now. I need to see you ASAP and put on tefillin and pray." This was a guy that had never, ever, imagine you live next door to Chabad rabbi, you never put on tefillin. You know how strong-willed you need to be in your desire not to put on tefillin? To live next door to a rabbi, you never put on tefillin? I'm saying, you got to really be strong in your belief system. And he says, "I'm on my way home. Before I even go home, I want to come to your house. I want to put on tefillin and pray." Sure, come over. He was a little shocked, so out of the blue. This guy's calling him, asking if he could come over to put on tefillin. So many times he offered him, he never did it. Comes, says, "Look, what's going on?" So he said, "You don't know this, but I work in a very, very high-level, top-secret department somewhere in the Israeli, I don't know if it's in the Mossad, in the IDF. And basically, we knew war was coming. And I was the head of a team that had I forgot the name of the drone, but the most advanced drone that Israel has. We had a drone specifically for our team. This was our drone. And the drone was meant to be an emergency response drone. So when you fight war, you have emergencies. That's what happens in war. Planes get shot down, there's accidents, pilots have to eject, an agent might be being uncovered, and a plan is being aborted. And so we had a drone that was somewhere in Iran or somewhere, whatever, that we were controlling remote. We were sitting a whole team of us to be ready 24/7, to all people awake, waiting by the computer to control this drone, to do whatever needed to be done. Any emergency response, we were ready to go fly in and save a pilot, to go whatever. So we sat there, a whole team of us, in this underground bunker somewhere, I don't know, Tel Aviv, with all the technology to control the drone that's sitting somewhere in Iran, some hidden, safe house. And we sat and we waited And in 12 days, we didn't do anything. There was not one time in the entire 12 days that anyone on our team flew that drone. Still sitting safe and sound. Wherever it was hidden, still there. Didn't move. That's impossible. That's a miracle. Have to come put on tefillin. Understand? So if it's true every year, if it's true that Mashiach can come and Pesach is a time of our redemption, the Pesach is a time of our miracles, and time, it's a time that God's divine energy is more revealed than it is all year. This year, that's amplified by many thousands of times more. Many thousands of times more. Every single one of the countless miracles that we're experiencing, countless miracles. Miracles that like defy any logic. And the problem is too many of them happen that we don't even know that they're happening. The fact that a bomb or a missile is intercepted, we don't even realize what a miracle is because, everyone went to the bomb shelter and then they came out and, so it was a joke, like this Israeli culture that you get upset. You're Israeli when you get upset when a siren goes off and then no missile came. You woke me up in the middle of the night for no reason. Stupid. Now you know you're Israeli. Right? Those are the miracles we don't see. Then the miracles that are like shocking miracle. I posted today a miracle in that building in Arad. There was a guy on the third floor. The bomb hit. He was running to his son's room and his son was gone. Son was in his bed. The bed is gone. The whole room is gone. The wall came out, and there's no bed. There's no son. And he's panicking. He's running around trying to find his son because his son was out of the room. And finally, there's emergency personnel come to me. We found your son. He has a few scratches. Nothing more than a few scratches. How did that happen? The bomb was so strong, the missile, the impact, that the whole wall came out. All the furniture in his room came flying out of the room with him on his bed. And he landed from the third floor. His bed fell, and he fell on top of his bed. He fell on top of his bed. So he got a scrape, some glass. He got cut. He got some scrapes. He landed from the third floor on top of his bed. That was in the third floor bedroom. He fell on top of it. Understand? It's amazing miracles. So when we pour the cup of Eliyahu Navi, when we're coming to the time, yes, it's true, maybe we're not as intellectually smart as the Jews living a long time ago. But from a different perspective, we have a faith in Hashem that surpasses the faith of any other generation. The faith of the Jewish people today is tremendous. The faith that we have says that Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, saw all the future generations until the coming of Mashiach. And when he saw the final generation before Mashiach, he became embarrassed. It says, if I'm not mistaken, says his face became black with shame. He saw a generation that was so clueless, so ignorant. Remember, Moshe was called Dardea. Moshe was a generation of knowledge, a generation of information. Moshe's generation was the most educated generation of Jewish history, right? They learned directly from Moses. They learned from God. He saw a generation like us, a bunch, with all due respect to everyone here, but a bunch of morons. I have no idea what the heck's going on. We don't know the Talmud from anything. Today, you speak to people today about Judaism. People have no idea what Judaism says. Figure out the Talmud, the halacha, basic Jewish ideas. And yet, the faith of the Jewish people today is unheard of. It's unparalleled. And this is what the Rebbe says, that yes, we don't do the cup of Eliyahu Navi because the Talmud has to debate 4 cups or 5 cups. And we're not sure, so Eliyahu Navi will answer the question. It's the opposite. Because we have a faith that defies logic, that's why we have a new custom that didn't exist in previous times. In Talmudic times, they didn't pour a cup for Eliyahu Navi. In Talmudic times, they didn't have the level of faith to be able to pour a cup of wine for the future redemption. But today, we don't just pour the cup of wine. Today, we actually get up off the chair. I'm speaking nicely. We get up off our chair, and we walk to the door, and we unlock the door. We do a physical act. When the Eliyahu Navi will come, he'll see that the door was open. Now, I don't think he's going to actually knock on the door, but he'll know whose door was open, whose door was closed. Who was actually really waiting, who only said they were waiting. Right? Reminded of the story of this, there was a drought in the town. And so everyone, they declared a public fast day. Drought is coming. So they close, and Jewish law talking about when there's a drought, there's days of fasting, Monday, Thursday, Monday, and there's different levels. It gets worse and worse, and then you close the stores and you announce the whole community fasts. So they close all the stores, and the whole community packs the shul to the special prayers to fast and ask for rain. It's one little kid standing, he tells his father, everyone's wasting their time praying. I'm going home to eat. So you're going home to eat? What do you mean? We're fasting. No one's eating today. We're fasting for rain. He says, no rain's going to come. He says, why are you saying that? Where's your faith? He says, because everyone came to shul and no one brought an umbrella with them. No one brought an umbrella with them. Everyone's coming to pray for rain. If you really believe that your prayers could work, you would have brought a raincoat with you. You would have bought a raincoat. You would have bought an umbrella. No one brought an umbrella. They're praying. Yeah, but it's not. And it was a bucket. And this, my friends, what the Alter Rebbe is saying to us. Yes, we're doing a custom that didn't exist in the times of the Talmud. But on the flip side, it's because we don't have that wisdom. We have pure faith. And today we also read the news, but not like negative, depressed, scared people that can allow the media to influence us and to make us afraid. But we read it with the eyes of Jews that have faith. And we read what's going on in the news, and we say, wow, miracle and miracle. And then the more you have this mindset, the more you just see it everywhere. It's like so obvious. The more you think that way, the more you see everything. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely miraculous. So Pesach will be the chance, if somehow God is not here before then, that on Pesach, not just talk about Mashiach, but to physically do our part in showing how ready we are for the final redemption to come. Good night, my friends. Laila Tov. Okay, good evening, Carmen. Thank you for your kind words. May you all have a blessed week. Shabbat Shalom. Good evening, Jessica. What? Say again? Oh, yeah. Tell them. You know what? I'm going to do that. My kids will cringe. On the way home from the Seder, I had a great idea. On the way home from the Seder on Wednesday night, I'm going to stop by the guardhouse and tell the guard if Elijah comes, he's put Elijah on the list. Let Elijah in. I'm going to do that. Good idea, Steve. Good idea. Yeah, the prophet, Elijah prophet. I don't know if I have an idea or not, but how are you, Dasa? Anyway, thank you, Andrew. I hope you enjoy Laila Tov, Stephanie. Oh, if you didn't sell your chametz, there's forums to sell your chametz. If you need shmura matzah, give me a minute. I'll give you matzah if you need. Sell your chametz. There's forums right there. You can also do it online. You go online. There's an email today to sell the chametz. Good evening, Andrew. Good evening, Stephanie. Laila Tov, I'm glad you enjoyed. Good evening, Jessica. How are you? Ella, thank you for your inspiration. Yes, we pray for peace and emunah. Wow, thank you, Jillian. Mind-blowing, amazing. We are living in biblical times, 100%. Good night, Dana. Put Mashiach on the list too. Dana, you got a deal. And tell them, Elijah, my daughters will not like you, but it's good. We're going to teach them to live with Lori, thank you. Heidi, Simcha, thank you very much. Art, thank you very much. Welcome back. It's been a while. I'm glad you're here, Heidi. Okay, Laila Tov, my friends. Good evening, Laura. Shavua Tov. Okay. How many ounces in each cup, Dana? 3.5 ounces is the minimum size of the cup. 3.5 ounces. Okay, I'll put Mashiach on the list. Okay, good evening, everyone.